Hey everybody, this is our lecture notes for the Roman Republic. So we'll see the transition from Rome, starting as a republic, to an empire. These notes are for August 25th. You'll be following along with this lecture by taking notes in your note-taking guide on Google Classroom. We're going to go ahead and get started. So we have the Roman Republic. So the significance of this is it was the first republic in the Western world. It was divided into two classes. These two classes kind of represent what we see today. We see two classes, mainly two political parties. The classes of citizens created a government run by elected officials. So we see that to this day. So we have elected representatives who represent us in government. Patricians. So patricians, who they were noblemen who owned big pieces of land and had a lot of money. They also were very familiar with Rome's laws. The Senate, which is one of the three different branches of government back in the Roman Republic, they were controlled by the patricians. Like I had referenced, there were three different main branches of government. You had the Senate, which were controlled by the patricians. This was the oldest, most powerful branch. You had the Assembly, which included representatives elected by the plebeians. And then you had the consuls. And the consuls were, there were two of them, and they served for a year. They had a lot of power. The plebeians. So the plebeians were just regular folks. They were the regular folks of the Roman Republic. They included craftsmen, tradesmen, and small farmers. Basically, it was everyone. The plebeians were everyone who weren't slaves and who weren't noblemen. So it made up a large portion of society. The plebeians elected assembly representatives. The plebeians did not know their rights, so they trusted that the assembly members would protect them and protect their rights. Rome became a center of great trading civilization, so with trade comes wealth. The plebeian class would eventually gain the right to veto over the Senate's laws and open them to membership in the Senate and other posts. So the importance of military. Military served a big role because it protected the Roman citizens. It also served the community, and it helped keep foreign invaders out. You'll see down here on this part of the slide, it says legions. So what a legion was it was a unit of about 3,000 to 6,000 men. It was the largest military unit of the Roman army. They served for about 25 years, and they were expected to fight, and also they served as a policing force. So you'll see as this road to empire, you see the land of Rome expand. So the importance of expanding land and territory serves the purpose of gaining additional resources, gaining population of different people. You conquer these lands, and then a lot of them become slaves for the Roman Empire or the Roman Republic at the time. So the importance of really expanding here, you'll see just new resources, people, customs. Conflict with Carthage. So this conflict, it was really remembered as a dramatic fall. This historical Goliath right here, Carthage, they were slayed by Rome. The Punic Wars between Rome and Carthage were fought for about a century long. It ended in the destruction of Carthage. And throughout history, you see history oftentimes is written by the victor of certain battles, wars, conflicts. So in this case, the memory of Carthage was kind of left to ashes, and everything that we kind of know about them is really fragmented because Rome won. So history is written by the people who usually win, or rewritten. And so Rome fought 3 Punic Wars with Carthage, but eventually came to dominate the region. Struggles of the Republic. With every great place, it's not without its own form of struggles. So lands in Rome were consolidated into massive estates. In the cities, the slaves working for wealthy landowners or merchants occupied both skilled and unskilled jobs. Slave labor, right? The wages you pay your slave are very low, if any. You might not, back then you might not even pay these slaves. You see public handouts for food kept most from starving, which was crucial. And like anything, whenever times get tough, people need distractions. And there were games played that were sponsored by the government and wealthy families to really provide this distraction. And you see that a little bit today as well, as we're going through this pandemic. Life is tough, it's hard, but sports help serve as a distraction. I know I was distracted the other night watching the Lakers play. It takes your mind off of what's going on a lot of times. The Roman Empire. So pictured here, you have Julius Caesar. It is not an actual picture of Caesar. This is what we think he looks like. So the wealth of the Roman Empire really allowed Rome to spread its influence across Europe. Julius Caesar was really a brilliant military commander, and he helped initiate the end of the Roman Republic. He became somewhat of a dictator, and when you think of the word dictator, you think like a ruthless tyrant who rules and has no consideration of the ordinary people. But during this time, most dictators were appointed to address a specific crisis, whether it was to respond to a military threat, to organize an election, or to oversee some kind of religious event. In Caesar's case, he was more of a modern dictator in the sense of he had absolute power and total control of the government. The Roman Empire continued. So Caesar was very popular. He really recognized the hardships of the poorer citizens. So he tried to put himself in their shoes, so to speak. He was so popular that he was granted the title of dictator for life. Dictator for life. So this guy was pretty well liked among certain groups of people. He ended up being assassinated by a small group of senators. And this will not be the last time we learn and we see a political leader be assassinated. We'll learn a little bit in the future about the assassination of Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy. You'll learn that in U.S. history. The Roman Empire. The Roman Empire. So we have Octavian, who ends up taking over for Caesar. He was the heir to Caesar's throne. Octavian ends up changing his name to Augustus. He did not make himself a dictator like Julius Caesar did. He was actually the first emperor of ancient Rome. I'm going to say this in quotes here, he restored the Republic of Rome, though he had retained most of all real power. You have this period of Pax Romana, and literally translated, it means Roman peace. Basically, it was a peace which existed between nationalities within the Roman Empire. It really was an era of unprecedented peace. Roman Empire, you have Roman innovations. So there's several listed here. You have innovations in politics, economics, social structure, and technology. You see what we got from the Romans. We get Roman numerals, you get aqueducts, surgical tools, Roman roads, and buildings. So several different innovations from the Roman Empire. The downfall of the Roman Empire. So, like all good things, they come to an end eventually. So, one of the main reasons was a food shortage. So, this led to increased inflation. Just imagine what happens when you get hungry. Right? People get irritated more easily. Another word, hangry, right? People get angry. So, that's what was occurring in this empire. So, they were susceptible to a downfall. Eventually, they were overrun by the Huns and other Germanic invaders. So you see this ending of the Roman Empire, and then the empire was divided into an east and west section. And then you see persecution of Christians, the early Christian church. There was a lot of persecution for being a Christian, but eventually the Christian faith was legalized by Constantine. So this is where we're going to end it today. So thank you for sticking around. Make sure you fill out that note-taking guide if you haven't already, and then submit it to your Google Classroom page. This is where we kind of just recap what we covered today. We learned about the rise of the Roman Republic all the way to the Roman Empire and then to the fall of the Roman Empire. Really, really fascinating place. Had a tremendous influence on Western culture today. So yeah, that's a little bit about Rome.